The Childhood of Jesus, the Gospel of James, Biographical Gospel of the Lord. Chapter 131, The Approach of a Great Storm. The others, who had scattered to all sides of the widely stretched plateau of the mountain, now returned with deeply concerned expressions, for they saw very massive black clouds arise in the southwest part of Egypt, which are always forerunners of great storms. In the northeast towards Ostracine all was indeed clear, but all the more gruesome did matters appear above the mountain range to the southwest. These returnees therefore advised a rapid return homeward. Cyrenius answered, "When the proper time comes, our wise and mighty companions will surely tell us. But as long as they are not concerned, we too will not worry." At this, Moronius and the garrison commander observed, "You are right, but just go up on this little mound and look, and you will surely agree with us. For it certainly appears as if all the Furies had suddenly set the earth on fire." Cyrenius now asked the lightly slumbering Joseph, "Friend and brother, did you hear what sort of a warning report these here have brought me?" Joseph answered, "I was slumbering and hardly know of what you were speaking among yourselves." And Cyrenius said, "Then arise and go with me up this little mound, and you will immediately discover the subject of our discussion." Hereupon Joseph arose and went up on the mound with Cyrenius. When they arrived there, Cyrenius showed Joseph the extremely threatening appearance of the approaching storm. And Joseph asked, "Well, what are you going to do now? Flee? Where to? The storm will be here in at least a quarter of an hour." "It will take us an hour and a half to walk to Ostracine, and before we ever get through the upper part of the forest on the mountain, the storm will have caught up with us long before. What then, in the uncertain ravine, if an army of beasts encircles us, which they like to do in great storms? And if on top of that streaming cloudbursts catch up with us and relentlessly tear us along into the lowland, what will we do then? So we really should remain here on the top, where we will at worst get wet, while we can run into all sorts of trouble in the forest." Cyrenius was satisfied with this advice and went back underneath the fig tree with Joseph. But the company of Cyrenius appeared very sceptical, especially when they saw that the 3 lions suddenly sprang up and took flight into the forest. Moronius himself said to Joseph, "See, the 3 beasts which have attached themselves to us have surely taken protective flight in anticipation of the calamity which awaits us here. Should we not do the same?" Here Joseph retorted, "Man need not learn what to do from the animal, but from the Lord of nature. Now I believe that I am more intelligent than the animal, so I shall remain and await the storm here, and only set out when it is over, providing a storm comes." With this all were satisfied for the present and remained in fearful anticipation. Chapter 132. Cyrenius defies a sea of fire. A quarter hour had barely passed when the peak of the mountain suddenly became enveloped in such a thick mist that it became quite dark. The entire company of Cyrenius began to lament and complained. "Now we have it. Zeus will really attend to us here. Here one cannot say, far from Zeus, far from lightning. Instead, we can all perish here miserably, for mortals should never approach too closely to the gods if they wish to walk the earth with a whole skin. Here Cyrenius remarked, a bit jokingly, "I do not care a rap about any of your gods, one and all. I have found a better God, of whom it is not said, 'Far from him, far from the lightning.' For here it states just the opposite, far from him, far from life, and very near the death-dealing lightning. Close to him therefore means the same as close to life, and very far from the death-dealing lightning. So these mists do not frighten me in the least, for I do indeed know that we are all very far from the deadly lightning." Cyrenius had hardly finished speaking when a crackling flash of lightning struck the earth right in front of the group, and was soon followed by a multitude of others. This took Cyrenius back a bit, and his companions asked, "How do you like that in view of your former remark?" Cyrenius answered, "Very well, for that is a truly murderous racket, which all the same has not cost any of us his life. It seems to me that your gods here perceive the brother of the emperor, and quite someone else also, therefore they do us this honour." Here a captain from the company of Cyrenius, who still was quite impressed with the doctrine of the gods, warned the joking Cyrenius, "But I beg your imperial consular highness, do not under any circumstance make fun of the gods here. For how easily could the nimble Mercury report that to Zeus, and then we would all be finished off with one bolt of lightning." At this Cyrenius said still more jokingly, "My dear captain, you can be quite at ease in this matter. Mercury has now been placed under an eternal house arrest by Zeus, and Zeus has himself received such a sound slap in the face by quite another Juno that he has lost his sight and hearing forever. So you need not concern yourself, since Zeus will not have much to say about thunder and lightning from now on." Hereupon, the lightning became ever more intense and the thunder quite terrible, and the captain persisted, "Oh, your imperial consular highness will surely regret this diatribe against the gods." And Cyrenius said, "Certainly not today, perhaps tomorrow, if I have the time left over. See, if I were to fear the gods like you and still many another fool, I would not speak so freely at this very moment under this sea of fire. But because I just do not fear the gods any more in the least, I speak as I do." With that, the captain was rebuffed and did not dare to say any more to the Imperial Highness. A bolt of lightning now struck directly between Joseph, Mary, and the two youths. And the baby sat up and commanded, "Unmask yourself, you monster." At this word, all the clouds suddenly fell down, the sky became fully clear, but in contrast, a mass of vermin was to be seen crawling on the ground. And the two youths directed a glance at the ground, and the vermin fled in part towards the forest and was in part destroyed. This act caused all who were on the mountain with Cyrenius to fall silent, for they were at a total loss to explain it. Chapter 133. A Roman marvels at the child's power. After a long pause of boundless astonishment, the garrison commander approached Cyrenius quite meekly and stated, "Your Highness, I know that these people have devoted much time to the study of nature, as a number of illustrious leaders of Rome also have. As for me, I have always been more of a soldier than a scholar in the field of nature. But this most singular occurrence which here took place before our eyes compels me to reflect in the matter. Still, I am unable to find any explanation other than the miraculous, which can only be explained by the remarkable power of this Jewish child. Should there actually be no other cause? Should there not be certain secret laws of nature by means of which this must be effected just as surely as otherwise rain, hail, and snow? Oh, give me a little light here, so I too may understand the matter a little and not have to stand here like a lost sheep. Here Cyrenius admitted to the commander, "Oh, friend, you have made a poor start by turning to me in this matter, for I understand just as little about it as you do. That such surely happened according to a law is certain, but how the law is constituted will hardly be known by anyone other than the great lawgiver of nature." Now, whether we mortals are justified in asking the great lawgiver how such laws are constituted, that is something which I, for one, just do not know. The commander continued, "See, your highness, over there is the wise Jew with his wonderful child, and the two most remarkable youths, who this morning completely upset our tranquillity with their shining garments. How would it be if we turned to them in this most remarkable matter?" Cyrenius said, "Try it, if you have the courage. I am lacking it on this occasion, for I now perceive very clearly that they are beings of quite another kind than we are." The commander replied, "I would not say that I lack the courage, but if your highness is of that opinion, then I certainly will not be a party to high treason, and am content with my ignorance." Joseph now said to Cyrenius, "Brother, have all get ready to leave, for the sun is already inclining noticeably." Cyrenius did this, and in a short time the return trip began. This occurred without any hindrance, and in 2 hours all were back at the villa again. Chapter 134. The Lord always knows the best way. When they arrived at the villa, the party was greeted in a most friendly way by the sons of Joseph, and especially by the youths who remained there. The sons then showed Joseph all they had done in the meantime, and how they had faithfully carried out his wishes. The oldest son immediately told Joseph of all the remarkable things that had taken place during his absence in the vicinity of Ostracene. Quite especially, he related, did the sudden fire in the governor's residence frighten all the inhabitants in the city. But when they were attempting to put out the blaze, the great fire went out all of a sudden, and no trace of it was to be seen any more. Thereupon we suddenly noticed that the mountain was being enveloped in fiery clouds, and 1,000 bolts of lightning crisscrossed each other. At this we thought of Sinai, which could well have looked like that at the time of the great revelation of God to our fathers. We then were greatly concerned about you, but the youths reassured us and said that no one would be harmed in the least. When the mountain was totally enveloped in fiery clouds, behold, we were greatly frightened, because 3 tremendous lions sprang toward us in great haste from the path leading up the mountain. This greatly frightened us, but the youths said, "Do not be afraid, for these animals seek protection in the home of him whom all things must obey." And so it was. The 3 lions quickly went inside our wagon shed, where they are resting peacefully. After the storm we went there with several of the youths and looked at the giant beasts, and they arose and made signs of unmistakable submission and friendliness. Here Joseph responded, "I see, my son. We have also experienced all that. You have made your story almost too long. All of you go now and set the table, for we all need to restore ourselves, since the mountain has tired us a bit." The sons and the other youths now hurried into the kitchen and the dining room, and in a short time put everything in the best order. Cyrenius now observed, "Truly, it greatly surprises me that these three beasts, instead of going into hiding in their caves, sought protection here. Perhaps they will stay with this house and watch it faithfully as this breed of animals has done in similar circumstances." Joseph affirmed, "Everything is right with me that is right and pleasing to the Lord." But it may also be that these animals will follow you as a protection to your ship. And Cyrenius said, "If the Lord wishes it, then I will surely agree to it, although the Lord can also protect me without these lions." Here, the three came forth and took their stand around Cyrenius and indicated their friendship to him. At this, Cyrenius said, "Now that is indeed strange. You, dear brother, need only to say something, and it already happens." The two youths stated, "These three animals will serve you well this very night, for the Lord always knows what means are best suited to help anyone. Such animals have not infrequently been in the divine service, hence they are also chosen now to serve you in a matter which awaits you, and so be it." Chapter 135. A treacherous attack. After this discussion, the three lions again left Cyrenius and withdrew to their wagon shed. Cyrenius still wished to discuss this appearance with Joseph, but Joseph's sons came just then and let him know that the meal was prepared and the table was set. At this, Joseph promptly invited the whole gathering to come into the dining room and to refresh themselves with food and drink. In answer to this invitation, everyone now went into the dining room and ate the blessed foods and stilled their thirst with lemon juice and water. After the meal, which lasted for an hour, Joseph thanked God and blessed all of the guests present. Here the baby called Cyrenius over, and when he approached him in the greatest humility, he said to him, "Cyrenius, tonight you will be attacked by a small traitorous band in your sleeping chamber. I am therefore sending the three lions along with you, so leave them in the chamber with you when they follow you. When the traitorous horde enters your chamber, it will suddenly be attacked by the three lions in the fiercest manner and will be torn to pieces. But you will not be harmed in the least thereby, so do not be afraid of the three lions, for these fully know you to be their Lord." Cyrenius thanked the baby most fervently in his heart, as also did his wife Tullia. But she knew nothing of what the baby had just discussed with Cyrenius. When it was quite late in the evening, Cyrenius took his leave with his entire company, repeated once more his invitation for the following day, and having been blessed, went his way into the city. When he entered his sleeping chamber, the three lions were already at hand and stoutly accompanied Cyrenius into the great chamber. And when he went to his couch with Tullia, the lions took their places around it, steadily keeping their eyes on the entrance door. The servants of Cyrenius went in and out a number of times, but the lions paid no attention to them. During the second watch in the night, 20 muffled men, treading very stealthily, came into the sleeping hall of Cyrenius and very quietly approached his couch. But when they were hardly 5 more steps away from the couch and pulled out their daggers, the three lions, amid the most fearful roars, suddenly pounced on them and tore them to pieces in a few moments, and not one escaped this attack. For none was prepared for such an attack, At the first pounce, all fell into the greatest fear and confusion and did not even think of defending themselves. For that reason, not one found his way out, and consequently fell prey to the fury of the lions. Thus, Cyrenius was marvellously saved during this night by the 3 lions, and was not a little amazed the next morning when he beheld the dismembered corpses in the great sleeping hall.